Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
And welcome back to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere. This is Chris Parker, and I'm having a conversation with Monique Drent, who is actually coming to us from the kitchen. Well, actually, the kitchen of her shop in Amsterdam. And we're going to talk all about this shop, which is recently opened. She is the owner and one of the co-founders of the Swapshop, which is I believe, a unique approach to circularity in clothing. And we're going to unpack all that and discover what that really, really means. So Monique, thank you so much for joining. I'm very curious how you would describe what is it that you do and why are you doing what you do?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me and for letting me talk about the thing that I love to talk about the most. It's always a pleasure. And I think one of the reasons why I like to talk so much about making clothing and sustainability more connected is because it's something that came up in my mind really naturally a couple of years ago. In 2012, I decided to stop buying new clothes because I already had a lot of clothes in my wardrobe. And from there on, I basically used all the clothes that I had until I wanted to start getting new ones from other sources. So I did that for 3 or 4 years. And then throughout that time, I got a lot of clothes from friends which were left over, and they felt a little bit sorry for me. So they donated a sweater and shoes and jackets. And that's actually how the idea from swapping popped up. And that's how the Swapshop was realized. The Swapshop is basically a place where you can hand in your clothes. And for those clothes, we give you swaps in return. And with those swaps, you shop. So you start finding clothing in the Swapshop. And whenever you found what you're looking for, you pay for that with the swaps and an additional amount of service fee. So that's the concept in a few words.
Cool. So how did it evolve? Like, how did you decide to bring in the whole concept of the swaps as a bit of a currency? And because it's quite an innovative approach, I think.
Yeah, I think it came from the search to work with something different than money. Because in the beginning, when we started in 2017, the idea was born. I had a pretty idealistic view on it, and I thought, no, I want to show that exchanging is more fun than buying. And then I thought, what currency can we do instead of money? And then the swaps came up because we were pretty sure we wanted to give value to the clothes that were given and taken, also to make point out the difference between the different quality of clothing, because a lot of fast fashion t-shirts are not as popular or not as pretty or not as good quality as some vintage or designer or more natural high quality stuff. So that's where the point system came from. We started with events and then everything was for free. For years we did that until we realized that Fit for People, we spent 20 to 40 hours a week on the concept, and we found a permanent shop and we needed money for the rent. And then we, in the end, were forced to add the service fee as well. But it started with swaps currency. Yeah.
I love it. And so if people want to play in this exchange economy, they can bring in what? Like, is there some sort of quality criteria or?
In principle, we take everything in that is clean and not damaged and not worn out. So all the clothes are accepted. It doesn't matter about the style or how high the quality is, but we do give more points for things with more style or quality. So we have point categories of 1, 3, 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100 points. Each point category has a amount of service fee attached to it. And for every product, every type of product, we work with a baseline. So for example, if you hand in a jeans, the baseline for the jeans is 5 points or 5 swaps, which means that if you have a basic jeans from the H&M or the Primark, or you get 5 points for it. Then we have a few reasons why that jeans would go a category up. So, for example, when it is from a sustainable brand, or a vintage brand, or a designer brand, or when it's from a really natural fabric like a woolen or satin or a linen, and also when it is really the Swapshop style or the latest style, or when it's like brand new or the price tag is still on it. So that can make a jeans that has the baseline 5 points. It can go to 10 points or 20 points, or if you have a like brand new, super sustainable, super awesome quality item, it can be 50 points, and then you pay €25 service fee. Yeah.
I have to ask, what is the most unusual thing you've received that you're given points for? What, like is there any just off the wall stuff that comes in?
Sorry, can you ask that again?
Is there anything really unusual that has come in that you're like what?
No, I think I love unusual stuff. Okay. To be honest, I love crazy dresses, or like we one time had a full ski pack to go skiing with, or a leather motor pack that was for like years in the shop, and then suddenly somebody came and he just needed this motor suit. And I love it when we can make these strange connections. We got a wedding dress one time, a silk wedding dress, which was not swapped, but it was used by a designer to make like a really beautiful dress from it as well. So I love that. We get bras, we get woolen socks, but yeah, if it's good and we have the idea it can go out, then yeah, we take it. Just no underwear. That's it.
No, yeah, okay. Well, I guess that there's a reason for that, hygiene and all that. Who's your customer? Like who loves this? Well, I can imagine that there's people who just fall in love with almost the game of it and the experience of it.
True. Yeah, I think there is a lot of, like, most of our customers are women, because I think women like to shop for fun in general more than men. But we also have, especially in Rotterdam, quite some men coming by, because we put a lot of effort in making our collection for men attractive and worth it to visit the Swapshop. In Amsterdam, we're still in that process. But I think it's in general women between 18 and let's say 60, like really wide range of age. It's a lot of the time people with a kind of a creative mind or the curiosity to search, because swapping, it is a little bit like treasure hunting. I mean, you have this really big shop, and of each item, most of the time there's just one. And there's different sizes, different colors, and we try to make the search as easy as possible. But you have to find something in your size. So most of the time it's people that like a little challenge, and it's also quite a new concept. So the people that find us now are often like curious people with a focus on sustainability. And in Rotterdam, we have one location right in the city center next to the Koopgoot. And what we really love there is that a lot of people pass by that are not in sustainability, or that normally don't buy secondhand just because they see a nice shop with a nice etalage. And they think, oh, let's try it. And then they come in and they get surprised by, hey, what is this? It's new. And I love that the most, like to invite people to secondhand clothes that normally wouldn't choose for it.
How have you, and I apologize, I've not been in the store because, Corona, I guess, and, life, but how have you staged the store experience to be surprising like that? Is there some sort of Swapshop branded experience when they walk in that they experience something that you've done deliberately, or is it more that the products speak for themselves?
No, I think what I really try to do is I want everybody that comes in feel welcome and feels accepted. That's, for example, also why we accept all the clothes that are handed in. Don't want to exclude people based on their style. So this is something that I always share widely with my team. Like, hey, even if we don't like something, we still take it in, we still give points, and we find another purpose for it through donation, or we're going to start a product line from clothes that are not suitable for the swap shop. So this is for me something really important. And somehow we also have a really diverse group of people, or at least of women, that visit us from a lot of different backgrounds, native Dutch, everybody around the world, different hairstyles, different clothing styles also. So yeah, I find it really cool because it comes really natural. And apart from that, we try to keep the shop spacious. So when I come into a secondhand shop that is overloaded with clothes, I am really sensitive for sensory impulses, and I black out. So based on my own experience, I always try to keep an overview in the shops to not put too much. I most of the time hang things for color by color, because it's more calm for the eyes. So things like this we try to do all the time. But at the same time, we're still experimenting, because sometimes we do something for half a year and realize, oh, didn't work out as we thought. Let's try something different. Yeah.
And trying something different. The web shop is about to open, so it could be, depending on when this episode is published, the web shop might already be live. So how are you experimenting with that? So supporting that physical, tactile store experience into online. What's happening there?
Well, the idea basically came in the Corona time because we had to move a lot of our activities online, and we also got a lot of requests like, hey, can we order something, or can we see what's going on? And we post quite often combinations on Instagram, and we get a lot of like, can I make a reservation for this jacket or for these shoes? And so we saw like, hey, this is something interesting, and something a reason or a way how to make like the how we can reach even further out and make even more impact, because almost all shops offer their collections also online. And I really believe if you want to make a change in the current situation, you need to be as accessible, as reachable, and as fun as the status quo, as the situation is already there. So if we really want to make from swapping the new shopping, we should also be as available as all the other shops. So that's how the idea of the web shop was born. And for now, it's more of an extension of the collection that we have in the shop, because people can order online, they can make a reservation online. But for now, we are starting a trial with that people still need to go to the shops to actually try the clothes on. And we do that because we don't like the idea of wasting clothes or buying something online and then it comes home and you realize, oh, it doesn't fit, I'm gonna send it back. It's not super sustainable. So we're trying to do this experiment to invite people to the shop to try it. And if they like it, they can take it, of course. And if not, they can keep it.
I can imagine that helps, because I was thinking about how you're going to do with the logistics with an omni-channel approach if you don't have standard product lines. You basically would need a whole separate warehouse and a whole separate supply chain. But if it's a reservation, then when your staff can go pick the products, hold it. That's kind of genius. I like it.
Yeah. And it's another challenge is because we have clothes from all brands and all shops. Some we can say, oh, this dress is a size S, but a size S of the one shop is a completely different size S than the other. So the sizes are a little bit surprising. So that's an extra reason to just try it before you actually take it. Yeah. But we also want to inspire with the web shop. We try to make nice combinations. Also show like, hey, this is the clothes and the style that we love, or that our community loves as well. So it's also a little bit of a marketing extension to show we're here. Try us.
Nice. I shared because we should talk about Startup in Residence in a bit and what that program has meant for you. But I was able to experience your pitch, I guess, during the demo day. And And even at that point, I was starting to make connections because I'm doing some strategy work for a fashion brand. And I'm really curious, because some of those people listen to this. What ideas do you have for collaboration between the Swapshop with new brands? Before we pressed record, you came up with a couple of really interesting ideas. So I'm just hoping that maybe you can express that in your own words, and I'll just simply point them to listen to this and see if there's any sparks. So you had some examples of things that have already worked and maybe some new ideas.
Yeah, true. Yeah, how we have been working with fashion brands until now is we are really we only try to work with clothes in the swap shop that are unwanted. So clothes that are still good, but for somehow the current owner of the clothes doesn't need them anymore or doesn't know what to do with it. And those are customers. But it can also be companies. We worked previously with Dr. Denim. Together, they had when Corona started, a really big amount of dead stock that we got from them in return for, we leave the price tags on it. We show the brand. It's a really conscious brand as well. So it's somebody that a brand that our target group might be interested in. And that's what we would like to explore also with other brands, to see like, hey, can we help each other? That if people have brands of dead stock or samples that they don't longer need, that we buy them from them for a little price, or that they donate them in exchange for marketing, for some marketing exposure. And for me, that's really interesting because it's a double way to save clothing from the textile garbage, let's say, either way from the closet of the consumers, but also from the closet of the companies. So this is really nice. And I always love to work together with people and brands because it always inspires me. Yesterday, I had a talk with, for example, Wear. They make old shoes more pretty. And what you could also, what for example, brands can also do, like Patagonia did before. They can take back the clothes that they sold, and they can maybe resell them or give points or a currency to people, so that they can start shopping by themselves. I think this is something that is really the future for brands if they want to do something. Yeah.
Have you ever thought of sort of what would you call it? Sort of sharing swaps as a currency with other outlets?
Yeah. Definitely. What we also wanted to do is, because it's a fact that there is too much clothes in the world, and everybody, especially in the Netherlands, we all have too many clothing of too many pieces. So people always get home with more swaps, with more points from the swap shop than they will ever take clothes with home. That's how it works. So what I would love to do is to use this currency to use it also for maybe vintage shops or other sustainable shops, and that we can really build it out and work together with it. For me, it's super interesting. Yeah, definitely.
I can see it. And I also like the reward aspect, instead of just sort of dropping off your stuff somewhere, that you can accrue these points, and people like that a little more than others. So looping back to the Startup in Residence program, you're a startup in that program. I've had some other founders from startups on the podcast before, and it's a fascinating, amazing group of people. So in your words, what is Startup in Residence, and why did you invest your time there?
Yeah, what it does for us is a really big opportunity to organize and professionalize our ideas. I think because we got chosen or we subscribed for an assignment to find a solution for the textile waste of the municipality of Amsterdam. And we basically do that in two ways. Either way, people can swap it in our shop instead of throwing it away, or they can bring it, and if it's unswappable, we make a product line out of it, and we're going to bring the products from this product line on the market. And this was the original idea, which the municipality has been super helpful with, especially with connections in the city, with designers, with local entrepreneurs. So this was really valuable, but at the same time, also the trainings that were part of the Startup in Residence program were for me incredibly valuable, because they covered a whole range of business information that, let's say, for 50% was already in my head, but often you're so deep with your feet in the mud that you forget to take a step back and to go to a higher level and to double think about like what the fuck you're doing in the end. And for me, that really helped to take a step back and to see like, hey, this doesn't make sense at all what we are doing, or we can do this differently, or well, there is a really big opportunity here that we do not catch. So catch it. And actually, based on all the information, it's a lot of trainings about customer journey and marketing and sales and things like that. We're going to have a strategic meeting next week and to think like, hey, what is our plan for the upcoming year? What are our focus points? So that we have like a basic red line to follow, instead of somebody invites me, oh yeah, let's go there. Oh no, let's do that as well. That's a little bit in my nature. So that's, I'm super grateful for that. And also for the coaching. It's so amazing to have somebody next to you that if you have a challenge, you are able to call like, can you think with me to solve this problem? So super cool. Yeah.
Can you throw up an example of something that was an oh fuck, we're going the wrong way, that you course corrected?
Thanks for asking that, because I was already in my story thinking about that. I think half a year ago, we still had the idea to open because our main purpose is impact. We want to make as much impact as possible, and we believe that to do that we need more swap shops so that more people through the whole country can start swapping. So we had the genius plan to open 2 new shops every year in different cities, so that we would like make as much impact as possible. And then I talked with Tom, the one of the main mentors of the program, and he looked at me. I think you should rethink that idea, because I think you should first try to, get your base goods before you actually roll into something that you cannot handle. And then I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. And now half a year later, I cannot even imagine that we would already be starting opening the next shop while we're not even steady here in Amsterdam. So that was a really good idea about what not to do. Yeah.
Yeah, having that sort of outside counsel who's has a bit of distance and perspective and can ask you hopefully the right questions to both say, why don't you focus a little more on that, and why don't you equally focus a little less on that. Those 2 things together can be super, super powerful. So I'm gonna bite on that hook though. Impact. What is the dream of impact? So what 10 years from now, what is the oh my God outcome? Monique's empire or Swapshop empire. What does that look like?
Well, what my ideal future image of, let's say, European cities or worldwide cities even is now, if like it doesn't matter if I go to Berlin or New York or Amsterdam or Rotterdam or Antwerp, there's everywhere an H&M, a Zara, a Primark, and they're so big and everything is similar. And for me, it's like makes me sad to see that the diversity in the world is like floating away, and that's there's so much production. And there's so much marketing to give us the feeling that we're not good enough, so that we buy more of things we actually don't really need. And then we wear it on average 5-6 times. And then we buy something new just because it's available. And I'm always I'm really sensitive for this. So what my dream image of the world is that if you go to city centers, like that's, for example, the swap shop, that you have, that the second-hand market is definitely going to rise in the upcoming 5, 10, 20, 30 years. And there's even reports that say that the profit of secondhand shops, it's going to be bigger than the profit of fast fashion shops. So this is what I'm hoping for. And then the image in the cities would be that instead of the H&M and the Primark and other big brands, you have the Swapshop with next to it Swap Empire, with Betty's Vintage Shop, with Episodes, and that you have all these small diverse initiatives that complement each other and that help each other. And this is something that I really want to focus on. For example, in Amsterdam there is Lena. It's a really cool fashion library, and they rent out designer clothes. And like when we opened in Amsterdam, we actually bought their vintage collection from them because they didn't want it anymore. And we helped them with thinking about also maybe going to another location. We could be competitors, but because we like each other so much, we're actually friends, and we are like pushing each other up. And I love this. It's like super cool. Yeah.
I love it. I love the turning a competitor into a collaborator, and fighting, because in the world we live in, it's almost endlessly abundant in one way, but of course the earth, of course, is sort of the limited factor here. This planet we live on, and in a local market, you can take a scarcity approach and compete and try to tear each other down, or you can say, hey, we're on the same mission. Let's find a way, and so that's marvelous. I could also see that your future vision, that if it had a currency like swaps, that if all those little boutique stores had a bit of a global currency, and you helped them solve that problem, as well as maybe some operational advice and some procedural stuff that maybe doesn't come naturally to fashion lovers, that could really work. So I'm curious. You've been in the Startup in Residence program, where I'm also a mentor, and there's really a diverse sort of group of people there. And in your background, if I you said an endless curious sociologist was sort of how you self-described yourself, and you've also been a yoga instructor for a while, and so you have a really diverse experience base. So I'm curious, how have these non-traditional, as in from a business perspective, non-traditional business experiences prepared you for this entrepreneurial venture?
Yeah, well, I think the path through to where I am now was one of searching, but also in the end a really interesting one, because when I was a teenager, I was always a little bit stubborn, and I always had the idea, I don't want to work for a big corporate company. I don't want to work for this. I knew what I didn't want to do, but I had no clue what actually I wanted to do. So I ended up at a more economic bachelor, and then I worked for 3 years at a project leader in real estate, which I couldn't handle because the thing that I was doing wasn't satisfying me. And I was really unsatisfied at that moment. But at the same time, this job and this experience taught me so much about project skills and building something up in phases and planning and communication and writing proper emails and leading meetings, for example, and things like that. And then I decided, no, I want to do something else. And then I started to study sociology. And it was University of Utrecht. And the master was contemporary social problems. It's really about how to deal with unsolvable problems with so many actors that everybody is fighting about what to do, which is energy use in the world, poverty, inequality, racism, waste, also the world who's slowly dying. So this was for me. So the skills I got from the first education, and then the inspiration about, hey, what do I want to do and what can I do, and the theories behind it and how to get all noses in the same direction, I really got from the sociology study. So there was, when I finished there, I was like, yeah, now I know what to do. So that was super cool. And yeah, from that moment, I started to build up the idea around the Swapshop. But I wasn't making money with it yet. And then I'm always really chaotic. So I always loved yoga to keep myself grounded. And then my hobby became my work, and I started to teach, and also learning about how to keep my voice calm when I speak and don't talk too fast, and improvising while talking, and making jokes. Or actually, I was a little bit nervous because everybody was looking at me. So that helped me also in a way to become the person that I am now. And also when I was in the studio there, so many people came to my desk to have a little chat, or to have a talk, to ask for advice, or to share advice. So I really got a lot of human knowledge and human experience, and really beautiful people around me. So I'm really thankful for that as well. Yeah.
Sounds like a great journey, and seems like you have a bit this entrepreneurial personality where you're endlessly curious and learning. That seems to be a differentiator from entrepreneurs and maybe other people of like, hey, what am I learning from this? So last question for me is what else do you have to learn? Meaning what is the big struggle you're facing that you're like, I don't know how to do that?
Well, I think the main struggle that I am going through now is we have the Swapshop as a concept, which was really born from an idealistic point of view. Like, hey, I want to do something about something that I'm really unsatisfied with, too much waste and too much consumption in the world. And in the beginning, I never wanted to make any money with it, because I thought I just want to do good, and I don't want to take advantage of the project. But later on, the longer I was working on it, the more I realized, no, if I want to show that swapping can be the new shopping, and that we can have an alternative economy, I have to somehow show other companies as well that it's a way to make money with, and that it's a better way to make money with than producing new clothes or new shoes or new furniture or whatever. So I think my biggest learning point now is how to stay honest and stay true to my idealistic point of view, and at the same time grow into a professional company and a business concept that is like copyable, that other people can also work on, and that they can see and trust, like, hey, this is something with a future, and it is something I can live from. And I think that's for me now a really interesting struggle, to, like, not that we're super commercial, because we're not, but at least to also have the self-esteem, like, hey, what we're doing, it's okay to ask money for it, and it's okay to have the desire to be able to run the concept independently, without any government funding, which we have now still in the begin phases. Yeah.
So do you think it's possible to be this idealistic capitalist?
I think so. I think it's possible. And as long as you stay aware, because I think things like power and money are always slightly addictive. So I think if you stay aware of, it's just like drinking a glass of wine. You can drink a glass of wine and enjoy it without being an alcoholist. And I think it's the same with running a business. If you stay aware of not, drinking too much money, then it's definitely possible to combine it. And I think it's even what I realized later is, hey, if I want to show that we can have a different economy, I should at least accept that the economy that we live in is something that we live in, and that we need to merge with in order to be able to exist. It's like a fish. You cannot let a fish fly until it has wings, let's say. If a fish wants to be in the air, it should have wings. It's the same if a sustainable company wants to be in our current economic system. It can still be sustainable and idealistic. Like a fish with wings can still swim, but it should also be able to fly. I don't know if it makes sense.
Well, I can picture it, and I think and unfortunately, I believe that the society, at least Western society, is shifting to be more accepting of that. You mentioned Patagonia and other brands that are really doing well while doing good. Is a phrase that I heard somewhere that I like, and for me, it seems like the main difference is the order of that. Meaning. Why do they exist? And as long as they have hired the people with the same values, and they have the controls in place to control that temptation of power, and then they can make stay on target for that impact. And then if you're creating value, then value will come to you as well. So I love it. Monique, thank you so much. So and I love the tagline of swapping is the new shopping. And if people want to get into the swapping economy, they can see you at least in Amsterdam and Rotterdam. I think those are the two stores. And maybe when this is published for those people in the Netherlands, you can make a reservation online for an article, and then I guess with the time and a location to come in and try it on as well and experience the store. So Monique, thank you so much for joining. This has been delightful. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks to you as well, Chris. I loved it.
Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite player, and download the Simplicity Kit from ebullient.com.